Tusk StarLadder or the Tusk Vincere, both really strong openings. I wouldn't quite say they've gotten away with murder in this draft, but they're off to a great start, and they have a lot of opportunities because they've picked up a Vincere. The Ember is banned out this time, which I think is a really great play from Hellraisers. Obviously, there's a lot of synergy there. But even without that, they've got plenty of other AoE heroes that they can decide to pick up, and I don't know, you can even go for something like the Lina mid here, just because she can get so many more.
Choice of Darkseer here over this lot up, because I think that Darkseer works really well against all these focus heroes. You know, like the way that a team with Beastmaster and Bane want to fight is they want to pick off specific targets and then everyone focuses them down, but that kind of forces you to bunch, and then Darkseer blinks in and that's the end of you, because you've been using these single target spells and suddenly you're all caught in the same AoE spells.
Yeah, it's rough. I'll add words as an advantage. I feel like Beastmaster is such a great hero, and Vision in Dota, it received a bit of a nerf last patch, you can argue, or heroes that give Vision. Beastmaster didn't, you know, we saw clearly Bounty, I think, is on the forefront of everybody's minds, but also things like the Static Remnant from Storm Spirit, and then also the Thunderstrike on Disruptor receiving nerfs. Having these hawks up, being able to see a lot, it really gives you such a game advantage, and it's really hard because you're not going to frequently be able to, you know, pick off these birds unless they're moving.
Yep, I agree. Beastmaster Vision, one of the best ways to get Vision, and Vision is not something we can, you know, underestimate in the current meta game. What's interesting to me here is Hellraiser's banning out Titira's Ember Spirit. So we had a conversation last game about whether he's comfortable with the hero, is he going to have a good game or not. I think he actually had a very good game, and I think that to give it to them in combination with the Darkseer is maybe just a bit too worrying, so I respect the ban. And actually the Juggernaut pick from Hellraisers here starts moving the draft in the direction of something quite similar to what they had last game, for me. Juggernaut Beastmaster together suggests that they might do a kind of group up and pseudo semi-deathball plan, which is what they went for last game, but at some point they just like it stopped working, they lost their momentum, and those kinds of drafts typically fall apart when that happens. Now, this draft, if it goes that direction, might not, because a Juggernaut is not a Viper. Your Viper kind of like loses its purpose, the game stops being the it wants it to be often, whereas a Juggernaut can also just become like a big carry. So yeah. I think it's maybe a bit more versatile.
Also, depending on how these fights go, if Navi can make sure the illusions are out before the Juggernaut gets off that ult, there's going to be a lot of nice targets. At the same time, this Jug in lane, we've all seen it before, you know. Maybe he's up against that Darkseer, he manages to kill off the creep wave with a spin, that's another thing. Juggernaut maybe doesn't have the hard time that some other carries do, melee carries do, since he can just spin on top of the Ion Shell creep and still get all of that CS. And then he catches the Darkseer out, uses the Omni Slash. But they're going with Lich on Navi, and this is a hero he was really popular when the patch dropped because of the changes to sacrifice, I think, and of course he gives armor when Slaughter's in the meta. Really interested to see exactly how they're going to play him here, if he's just going to be that kind of like maybe stacking for someone, Lich, how he's going to have game impact or lane impact.
Yeah, it's quite confusing actually, because you see Tusk Darkseer, you expect an aggressive dual lane, you see Lich, and you're like, Lich usually goes in that aggressive dual lane as well, but I mean, I can't really see an aggressive tri lane with these three heroes here. Possibly they run the aggressive dual lane with the Tusk and put the Lich mid as well, but then they have a solo safe lane. It could just be that the Tusk is just going to be a roaming support and not actually start in that off lane. But where did the Lich go then? Is it the Lich Darkseer? I don't really think that like adding huge values to just the off lane Darkseer. So I actually don't know how Navi are planning to set up their lanes right now.
It could be Lich, it could be roaming Tusk, and Lich is just there to make the Juggernaut's life even worse, denying about, you know, you can deny almost a fourth of that farm. Oh yes, I forget what the other way, you can't see any of this, but you can deny almost a fourth of the farm with just 2 levels in sacrifice. And they go with a Viper again on Hellraisers, not sure about that. And Phantom Lancer, yeah, it's... Juggernaut's gonna have a hard time. I mean, I say this, but when it comes to team fights, I think he'll have a hard time getting off effective Omni Slashes just because there'll be a lot of illusions. If he catches people out, he should be fine.
Yeah, they literally asked for the PL pick. It's really good against Viper, it's pretty good against Omni Slash, it's really good against Fiend's Grip or Orbs. I mean, if PL gets... It's similar to the previous game actually, we said if Ember got to farm, that's it. If PL gets to farm, that's it. But here, I feel like early on, PL could cause a lot of trouble for them. And Hellraisers, Like, yeah, they've got the Juggernaut as sort of a fallback this time, but I do feel like they're very much on the like sort of 75 to 80% all in as they were in the last game.
Yeah, I'm still worried about the impact this Viper will have, and I wonder if it's just they're concerned about their mid winning against Dendi. We've seen that before, where people put a lot of emphasis on making sure they win their mid matchup. I feel like picking the Viper repeatedly may be too much.
I think, I mean,
Disruptor.
The Viper is the best frontliner in the kind of like semi-death ball strategy. It kind of always has been, other than maybe the Shadow Fiend, but that's banned this game. And Disruptor actually adds something interesting there, because that's like, we're pushing at you as 5, we're gonna go for your towers, and you need to be decisive, because if you sort of think, well, maybe we'll defend, actually no, we'll run, you're gonna get glimpsed back and die. So Hellraisers are actually very well set up to do what they want to do. They kind of were last game as well, and so the question is like, will they be able to keep the momentum that they hopefully get in the early game, or not? I think this game they might not even get the momentum though. I think that actually Navi have really good lane controllers, and so Navi could just start ahead, and then we'll just see a very similar game to what I think was game 3 of the previous series, where one team really wanted to play very based on pick it up ever, and so it couldn't do that much.
Yeah, it does feel like it's the right way to say this. At least this time, Hellraisers are on, you know, they can potentially go late again. And actually, I realize I have to quickly fix something, so please.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Hellraisers can go late to this game, but I mean, yeah, sure. So they support spells scale really well. Juggernaut can scale really well. Even Viper can. But even though they can go later, I do think they don't want to be playing from behind. I think that there's an advantage to Navi's lineup, which is that they can be aggressive early on. They can fight into them, they can contest the lanes, but they can also fight from behind. And I don't like HR's chances of coming back if they do get behind. So very interested to see how these lanes go. Sorry. Because if they go very favorably for Navi, it's big trouble for HR.
Now, on the other hand, I have faith in Juggernaut, because why not have senseless face? And Seneko, I actually haven't. No, I have seen this Tusk. I'm a big liar, but we'll be seeing how much impact he can make there. And it's going to be, as we just talked about, obviously Doxia is the offlaner. I've actually seen in recent history one of the European teams, oh, who was it? It was one of the big names too. They ran a support Doxia, and it was interesting. I feel like it's one of those things you can get away with when you're very, very high skill, just understanding how to use the hero. But not what we'll see here today. So exciting business. Let's quickly introduce the teams on HR.
Can you do that on your own? I'm just going to change my batteries. Take 2 seconds.
Go ahead. We've got Goddamn on the Disruptor. We've got Undershock on that Bane. We've got YOLO Warrior on the Juggernaut. Appa Ninja playing the Viper again. And Beastmaster all the way up in that top lane being played by Shocklo. Then we're going to have Axmo on the Doxia for Navi. Dendi, of course, everybody knows who he is, on the Lina. Artstyle on that Lich. PL being played by DJ Raw. And finally, Seneko on that Tusk. And it's really interesting. They now know about the lane rotations. I feel like Shocklo should be, I mean, I guess he's happier with this. He's a hero that should be able to be okay-ish with the Doxia, but both of these offlaners are going to get a lot out of the lane.
It's really interesting to me that Navi seems to be using the team secret approach of starting the one position hero in the off lane usually, and then just like switching around early on. And I mean, there's good reasoning behind this, right? If your 3 position hero gets a good start, they're usually a hero that's more important in terms of having an impact early on than the 1 position hero. But it's also sometimes just that the 1 position hero is less likely to die once you put them in that dangerous lane, because you've got like you're much more acutely aware of the risks to the hero. Also, sometimes the toxic lanes are usually aggressive dual lanes, not safe lanes.
Now we're seeing how toxic this bottom lane is. I mean, this Jug, I'm not sure how he's meant to get anything. He might be taking an Ice Blast to the face. A lot of his creeps are going to be denied by the Lich, of course, and Tusk is so tanky. It's not one of those heroes where you can just spin on him, because the Tusk, you just spin on him, he pops in the snowball. Yeah,
it's actually a horrible counter, actually. If you just start the snowball and then don't actually, like, commit it, you can counter pretty much the entire spin. Yeah, since spin is only 5 seconds, and then snowball, it got a slight reduction, but it's still, it's still 3 seconds, and then of course, when it's moving, you can maybe buy 4.5.
So let's say that bottom lane, very sad for the Juggernaut. In mid, Viper's actually faced a lot of harassment. I feel like even though Corrosive Skin gives you inbuilt magic resistance, Dendi, you just got someone to spam on Alina. And yeah, we're seeing more of it come out.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think this lane can go either way. It's typically I'd expect both heroes to just get farm, which is what they're doing, but they're also both harassing each other. If either.
Speaking of Dang, Snowball, not quite sure it's going for Undershock suddenly. I think they're getting over towards Maneko. He manages to go down, so Undershock has gotten a kill, has that DD on him. He needs help. I don't think he can buy 10 more seconds. He has the knife, he doesn't go for the self-deny. Even if he did, I think it's really rough there to try to get it. On the upside, Yulawari did get a bunch of free farm there. So, that's something.
Yeah, it is something, but I mean, we gotta be constantly aware of the dynamic that HR is the team that wants to have a good start here and gain momentum and win off it. And any small losses to them early on are actually, I think, more significant than the small losses to Navi.
Yeah. So on top lane, as I think we expected, you know, the lane's gonna get quite pushed in. Shakla, I'm actually a bit surprised he's going with Inner Beast. I was maybe expecting some points in the Wild Axes to clear the waves that would be pushing in so hard, but just boring it up.
Yeah, it's I mean, the summons is not unusual. That's, I think, standard for this hero, but taking the aura early on instead of the axes is an interesting choice. He's gonna still get the axes now, so it will probably just be that value points in the aura. But this stack's gonna be the advantage of Axmo almost certainly. Already gonna get that double hand shell.
Really surprised because I do feel like if he had the axes, he can contest this. He can stop having to be worried about the creeps pushing in while, you know, he can attack a bit faster. Maybe if Axmo does end up being aggressive on him, I'm not sure it was worth it yet, especially since you have to imagine Axmo's not going to be super aggressive until he has a couple more points in the Ion Shell.
Well, the CS is actually pretty close. I think these monsters are behind, only sides behind.
They put in the Snowball, the one who was glimpsed, and as we talked about the Spin, being completely burned out, but then there's going to be the Brain Sap and the auto attack come out. Solo Warrior actually takes the knife, it is also transferred, not just turned off Seneko, he is too far away. Yeah, Glimpse wasn't leveled on Disruptor. I actually think that Seneko assumed the Glimpse was leveled, and that's why he put Lich in the Snowball, trying to avoid the Glimpse back.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I didn't see the start of it, but that sounds like something that could happen.
It felt like the Lich actually could have just walked away there since there was no glimpse, but either way, all time enough on Smith, and Ninja, his life sucks. He's gonna salve up, but it makes life a little easier for Dendi.
I wonder at which stage Navi are gonna switch. I think that Gerard probably goes to the safe lane reasonably soon.
You think so?
Maybe as soon as he farms off his tower, I think that's maybe when it'll happen.
Yeah, he too, I mean, Beastmaster's a pain if you're up against him, but I think it's something, because of the boars, the constant board flow can actually be quite a pain to a hard carry. But you can kind of lance at the boars, you can maybe just auto-attack them down depending on how things go, and especially if he has some support up there, then I think the Beastmaster gets much less painful for Dichira on that field.
Yeah, and then he'll be able to have supports with him if he wants it. And I think that at that point Axmo will, I mean Axmo's already level 5, he's got the level 3 Nine Show, he's got a Soul Ring, so he could be in the jungle, he could be in the offlane, he could be wherever he wants. Darkseid, no one's really gonna be able to control him that easily at this stage. I mean, Glimpse is actually quite good against Darkseid if you have multiple heroes, but Disruptor's only level 2, and as you said, he doesn't even have a single point to Glimpse, never mind 2.
Yeah, we've been seeing this a lot lately. Kinetic Field being picked up really early. I do agree, it's a fantastic spell. It's a lot harder to hit though. It's much more skill-based than Glimpse, I guess you can argue, right? Like, Glimpse, you're gonna get it off, you're gonna put someone in a bad position as long as you actually counted for the 4 seconds. Kinetic Field, because of the amount of time it takes for it to actually form, you often don't cut off the people you want. So I'm really surprised to be seeing this so early, especially against someone like Seneko who has a snowball that can pulse right through.
It's maybe a little bit more versatile. Like, technically, it has some kind of defensive application. Like I spoke about in the previous game, we also saw Disruptor where it's a hero that I think usually is only useful aggressively. So your team's chasing, fine, you glimpse one back, or lightning is offensive skill. You don't really have that much to help if the enemy team's trying to make a kill on one of your allies. And Kinetic Field kind of provides that. It can be used as a barrier, like some kind of fissure or something to stop people from chasing your allies. So maybe that's the kind of like the tricky lane. There's a lot of fighting happening. We might need that defensive capability. That's the best explanation I can think of.
And it is something where if you can get up a good kinetic field, the spin does get easier, right? I just was a bit concerned because other than the Lich, you know, you can doppelganger out of it as the PL unless you're super I mean, you have to click on the wrong spot and be super unlucky, I guess, to not doppelganger out of it. So there were just a couple ways to pass through. Looking around in mid, obviously the Viper actually having the highest CS in the game, or highest net worth in the game. Not too unsurprising, you know, he's 28 and 10, you kind of expect that out of a Viper. But it's whether he can transfer that into anything, I think, and I would be interested to see whether he goes the same item build as last time, rushing that early mech, or not. Are we seeing alt style going down? Yeah, I feel like you're right. He said that, and then we were talking about how he didn't, so yeah, Viper.
Yeah. Last time he went for the drum, but I think this time he might go for the mech, although he's actually sending himself gloves, might be treads, or could actually be that Midas build, maybe. It is one way for Viper to keep up the farm, or Dandy pickles the hit, but he's got ulti. This is a dead F&N.
Or is it? Oh, he actually misses the Dragon Slip. I mean, another auto attack could do it, so he gets it. And at the same time, Phantom also goes down on the middle in the river. Okay. And with Phantom also going down, Denny trying to make something happen, but he has no mana, so I'm gonna wander away. I wouldn't be opposed to Viper going for the Midas. I feel like he is a hero who he also doesn't farm well. He's another one of those heroes similar to Husker. You don't get a lot of your farm from killing creeps. You get it from killing heroes. And if you're not killing heroes, you're stuck.
Yeah. I was about to say.
Oh, we have an engagement up top. Shackle is dead. Maybe gonna lose his boar too. Animal cruelty? No, boar gets away. Well played. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I'm just a bit surprised that Navi keeps sending Ditchera back to the bot lane. I guess they know at the moment that it's only against Juggernaut, but I think that 1v1 Juggernaut can maybe bully him a bit. I guess it's just they're just not prioritizing the PL right now, and that's perfectly fine. Like maybe they don't feel like there's urgent need to give him space.
And it's as you mentioned, I mean, PL, even if you give him a perfect lane, even if this PL had 80 CS at 8 minutes, right, he still won't have as much impact as the Dogseer with the mech or with a blink, which he can get up a lot faster than the PL can get. I mean, this PL could be bots, and then maybe casual Yasha for farming, we've seen that before, and then the diffusal, which I think really starts to get the PL into fighting condition.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I understand the base reason behind this. I just usually teams transition at some point, and I thought it would be sooner this world. There's gonna be a fight chase, but
they get the one more auto attack, but at the same time they have the box down and that needs to run. He needs to get out. He also use the doppelganger offensively there. He's gonna fly back on Cubs. Somebody needs to help out this one. He has to get more. Axmo is here, pops up the surge, but he's being body blocked by a lot of things. I saw it all. Good by shot blow. And he guides them back into the horrible ice dogs. Well played, I have to say. Often early buybacks, not nearly as effective as that one. Well played today, though.
Yeah, very good communication for it. BD Rune also doing a lot of work, I have to say. Juggernaut spinning onto PL, usually PL is running away or dying, but turns it around, takes out the BD, just starts attacking, and Juggernaut's the one who has to run away there. Ends up dying anyway. Well, we're gonna see another pause. Yeah. They're trying to fix their ping, I guess.
Are they like living together or something? Like, I'm just surprised that I mean, it could be that both of them, they could be at like the same cafe or something, but
yeah, they might just have the same internet service provider, or like, and then it's giving issues to the server.
I did not believe that Navi was in a like boot camp or anything right now, so I was just a bit surprised to see kind of 3 of them DC together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not. They might be at Internet Cafe. I'm pretty sure there isn't any kind of like official boot camp. I don't think they've even finalized the roster.
Yeah, they have 3, technically even alt style, so I don't believe, or at least for this tournament, the roster that we were handed is Seneko, Dendi, and Dichira are kind of listed as official Navi, and then of course they're allowed to have 2 stand-ins, and the ones they have been playing, alt style has been there pretty consistently, and I've seen a few other people play as well. I think I've seen mostly Axmo, but I think there was somebody else. maybe a week ago. So, yeah, that is their official roster for this tournament, and I do not know any details on what we'll be seeing further.
It's interesting, the skill board of Master and Lich. It's quite an unusual one, actually. Maxing out the Nova with, I mean, what's normal is getting the 1 point in ice armor, but it's almost always not 3-1-1. Because if you only have that 1 point in sacrifice, you actually run out of mana reasonably fast. You aren't able to just like constantly spam people. But it does mean you have that higher burst potential when the fights happen. So yeah, I guess neither here nor there. Once he gets to level 6, he's gonna have the level 3 Nova and the ulti, and that's gonna be insane burst damage. So there's certainly an argument both ways.
Yeah, it's also really interesting. I feel like going for less points in that. Less points in the sacrifice also doesn't help against the Juggernaut. I mean, it's not like his farm is stellar. Its bottom lane has been rough for everybody involved down there. But more points in sacrifice, it does put it up to a 36-second cooldown, I believe. And that is almost a third of your farm, fourth of your farm denied, right? It gets rough. And then you kill the catapult. Come on, guys. You gotta get that catapult. Show who's boss. So,
as things stand in this game, I think Navi's pretty favored. I mean, they're taking an early lead in terms of golden XP. They're also the team with less pressure to take the early lead, as I was suggesting earlier on. I mean, there are tools at the disposal of HR to get some pickoffs. They're not as limited as the previous game, just like group up with Viper and push. But they've got to make those. They've got to find those opportunities. Otherwise, the game just kind of casually progresses the way it is. They're in big trouble, and as I say that, there's a 3-man smoke actually coming out of their team, and there's a drawing straight into the enemy jungle. There's no Fiend's Grip yet, but there is
This is actually really scary. I mean, they don't have a Hawk leading the charge to give them vision. They only see 2 on the bottom lane. You could be running headfirst into 3. I mean, you can assume maybe that you'll get the jump, but oh, Dendi. He is in their pointers, and they have active, so Dendi in a lot of trouble. He hits the Light Strike Razor. The Hawk is giving them vision. There should be a glimpse back. They're actually backing out, realizing that they're 4 flapping on them, 5 actually. God damn, they throw out the Lich ulti just in case they needed more, and Beastmaster are gonna fall. So
yeah, they hang around too long. Like as soon as they see Dendi, it's either commit to killing Dendi, run away. You can't sort of like stand there looking at each other, get hit by the stun, consider keeping going, because you got to know the enemy team's all coming at that point.
Yeah, I agree, and it's definitely something where I feel like, as you said, HR, they've realized they need to make something happen here. They need to make sure that they're ahead for late game, and they're just having trouble finding that lead or finding anywhere that they can get that. They're falling about 2,000 net worth and 3,000 experience.
Dire structures are fortified.
Which, as you said, it shows in the levels. All of the heroes on Navi have ults. We are severely lacking on HR. They're only level 4 on the Stain. I mean, no Fiend's Grip trying to go for a gank.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I start to worry for HR.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Yeah,
like, they got the bottom tower. It's something. You're trying to be positive.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it only took 3 heroes to take all 5 of them. They do have this capacity to sort of group up and push. They've got that, and Beastmaster's building into Necros that'll help as well. They've also got like, the ability to make pickoffs. Viper's actually gonna run straight into Lich, and that might be unusual for this.
Yeah, they've got alt style dead to right. There's a lot of TPs coming in though. Dogseed does build himself up. Chocolate makes it beautiful blade. If Dendi can get in range, Viper strike out. Dendi, I will run there are a lot of heroes here, including the Yellow one coming on back. Punch up on YOLO Warrior. There's gonna be a primal roll onto one of the illusions from Stockwell. They actually flip back the correct one. Will the illusions do enough damage? It looks like Stockwell is out of this engagement. All right, and now everybody seems to be fine.
Yeah, when the dust settles, it's just the original kill and everyone else lives. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised Beastmaster didn't take a tumble, but well played from everybody involved, kind of zoning. And I don't think we actually saw the Omni Slash come out, and I have to say I really like this. Omni Slash level 1 is rather on making sure that you can, I mean, not use the level 2 so you're getting the kill, and then maybe waiting for level 2 if you're going to try to go ham with multiple heroes, because only 3 slashes, and if there are 3 heroes around, you're gonna have a bad time, and probably end up next to one of those heroes, who can then damage you in return.
Yeah, he'd rather use the Omni Slash when there's a Fiend's Grip or
Tower
when
is
there's just
under
one hero
attack.
that can't get away. I think actually that the Darkseer's vacuum might have saved the Beastmaster at the start of that fight, pulling him like away from Dandy actually.
Yeah, I'm
it's awkward,
not sure.
it's counterintuitive, but he tried to vacuum in a way that he might get both heroes, but he actually only got the one, and the one he got pulled away from the Lina.
And I think that Dendi there, I'm not sure if the Laguna Blade would have done enough damage, but I'm pretty sure that Laguna Blade plus the bonus attack speed from Fiery Soul, because she would have been in range, would have been fine. We've got TP out from Lich, seeing Dendi immediately backing up, and Dendi just happens to have a smoke. Gonna realize that there's nothing there. I mean, we've got an equal tower game. We've already talked about how, okay, HR with that one little engagement, and I guess they've been getting more out of the map. The last few big little lambs tail, they're actually pulling the net worth back in their favor. The experience still heavily in Navi's favor though.
Yeah, and the dynamic of the game kind of favors Navi, I would say, because they've not really been pressured that much, and they definitely should be the favored team as the game goes later, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we have another one of those big rotations coming out, and YOLO Warrior, if he can find one alone, I think he'll be happy. He needs to make sure he does not get the push as well. Not fast enough axes helping out there. Also, they had the glimpse just in case, since that issues a stop command, it would have stopped his TP.
Yeah, so this is going to be the tower trade probably. If it is a tower trade, it's again just like last game where I think tower trades are just far too favorable for Navi.
Radiant's bottom
Because
tower
HR,
is
when they
under
push tower,
attack.
Navi can't do that much.
Dire's top tower is under
One
attack.
every time. I don't know, maybe Navi won't.
Dire's structures are fortified.
He had been hiding in one
Radiant's
place.
bottom tower is under attack.
Didn't happen.
Dire's top tower is under
So I'm
attack.
gonna return, just have to take the tier and tower instead of taking some heroes live. They did get it very fast from HR, and I think that they, from the looks of it, are gonna continue their push, not returning back. Beastmaster also has the Necromonicon level 1. It does add, I mean, he also has that 1 point in Inner Beast. There's a lot of attack speed coming out from HR.
It's very good that the
Tower is under attack.
not like say the fast travel. Recognizing these fields is like
Tower
the
is
thing.
under attack.
Because this is the one big risk in this game that HR just ran away with this in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
We have a vacuum back onto Goddamn. He could set up a pretty nice kinetic field, I think. Kind of stop his aggression, but doesn't go for it. He's actually getting pretty low. This push on the hero. That doesn't do as much as we talked about. There's a lot of follow on there. He's on the result. He doesn't have that down for anyone, and now he will lift it up after this, but we were worried.
Radiant's
He's
middle
doing
tower
really
is
well.
under
The
attack.
Holy Hannah. All of that, I think, is on the hands of Goddamn.
Yeah, totally agree. 2 fights in a row as well, like with the amazing
Tower is
field.
under
Like,
attack.
it's a really difficult thing to do. It's not like a black hole or echo slam or like to catch multiple heroes, especially because the form time of the kinetic field. Like, I'm sure you can usually catch people with the initial static storm and they jump out of it, but 3 heroes were caught in the field with a static storm in them, and that's definitely the fight winner.
And just so folks know, it's 1.2 second delay on that form time. That is more than enough for most people to wander out. And Goddamn just did a really good job of it. And I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. And it does help them a lot as well. It put them in a firm gold lead. And as you said, if they can snowball, take down these towers, more points in Necronomicon units or higher levels, they get
Radiant's top
rolling.
tower is under attack.
So we were asking early, why did Goddamn go for the early points in kinetic field? It's probably just because he's like the best kinetic fielder.
Structures
Like
are
an expert in that field.
fortified.
Is that, I mean, I might a little concerned with that. It's not the kind of play you expect to jump the combine LT with. And other heroes disabled to start with a glimpse to start with. Really, really
Just
well done.
doing good work. Unfortunately misses the deny. He actually TP's top, almost gets it, but didn't draw the aggro of one of the ranged creeps. And also I want to take a look around. They didn't take on HR the opportunity, the deep smoke, to actually place any wards either of the times. So they actually have no wards on the vision, which I imagine will be rectified shortly. While we do see a couple very defensive wards coming out of Navi, they don't want to get picked off in their jungle again, I think is what they're saying.
Look
here.
at the HR still one, it's on 3 HP and they like seem to deliberately not be denying it. Like almost hoping someone will come try finish it off.
They could
Goddamn's,
be waiting
like,
for a bait,
cancelling his attack.
right? It's entirely possible that they're waiting for a bait here.
Radiant's middle
Yeah,
tower
they like.
has been
I think they
denied.
probably were, and eventually they're like, okay, wasted too much time. Like, let's just deny it. Because if the hero thinks, well, it's on one end, I'm just gonna sneak up there and last hit it. They're definitely dead. Here comes the smoke out from RB. They want to be on the offensive for a change.
And I think they're totally right. Unfortunately, it's going to get broken by the Juggernaut. He should have gone for a TP out there. He still wanted to have the ice shot. Really well played. And now because the worst went for more initiation, and they got him dead to rights. So unfortunately, I think the only play he had there was to kind of spin, try to hide, and TP. Of course, Boris can stop that. Even in spin, but you are walking away from that one.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Mostly just the ice shot, getting ice shot right at the start, then after that it's probably going to be a kill.
Now, Dendi is halfway towards his Aghanim Scepter, and Seneko is also, I'm not sure whether he's the type of Tusk who's going to be going for that Blink Dagger next. Some also go for Glimmer Cape.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell actually.
I think Glimmer's actually really great this game because of these static storms that have been on point.
He's actually just started a medallion, so I guess that's where he's going. They want to be able to get that fast rush if possible. And also probably going to just go to the Solar Crest, which is very useful against the enemy play against.
Yeah, but looks like Seneko, as much as he might want that false medallion, Speedster is going to delay his goal a lot. Seneko going down slowly but surely. Oh, he did finish it in the base, well played.
Yeah.
Good buyout, friend. Also, Guardian Greaves are finished on Darkseer, so this is gonna help a lot, I feel. Obviously, there's a couple of things it can close off, but I think mainly just the aura.
Dire structure.
This is a scary game to play I think if they put their minions on the tower, we can get something done here. He's actually the Primal Roar onto Onstyle. I think they do. They get the kill. This tower is in deny range, so the board not going to be able to kill it off. Oh, that's unfortunate. Please don't die, goddamn. We love you, but no. This is going down, as you mentioned. And yeah, oh, Viper coming in happening. There's a jump forward. But on the side, that net field, it went off the side of the jump forward from the Darkseer. Now, there's going to be more fighting. They have to make sure they move around. If they can find the real one, oh goodness, he's the one with the Ion Shell on him. I want to see both of these team fights, and oh, I'm not sure Undershot can get it. Viper does fall on one side, and Tekiron, they place a ward looking for more, but Undershot will lose the ward. Not going to lose his life, but really painful, because if he could have gotten Dichira, I think that almost evens things up.
Yeah, but as it happens, Dichira very close to death multiple times in that fight, makes it out alive, and he has 3,000 gold as well, so he could buy most of it at Fusel Blade now if he wanted to. I'm waiting to see if he decides to go travels. I think that just like having the entire Diffusal Blade ready soon is almost game winning. So, oh no, it goes for the travels.
I agree with you on the Diffusal. I think it has so much team fight impact. If you can throw it on Disruptor in the back lines, you can really get rid of his mana quickly and make it impossible for him to land these great kinetic and skill combos. But at the same time, if they feel comfortable, they can get Roshan on to buy enough time to get the Diffusal anyway. And oh goodness, between HR, they're all trying to come in. Do they have a smoke? They all smoked up, but I'm pretty sure those things know exactly what is going on. And if
the series, the rush fight's been so.
Now, we're seeing them opening up with what the list will be about. There's a lot of streaks. There's going to be a nice defense coming out. But in the snowball resurrection, they're going on to Undershock. On down, Snake will be following. They get the Tusk, they get the Lich. Are they just going to back out of this team fight? I think they could. The Roshan is pretty low, but I am worried. The pit. Actually, I mean, the wall. Okay, the wall's back up, but he doesn't have a Blink Dagger. This is actually pretty hard for Axmo to initiate here, I think, without the Blink Dagger. He's going for it. It's going to be a back on the high ground. He's going to be going out. He does get you up. Gavin Ninja is fine attacking you from the high ground. That doesn't bother him one bit. So,
he was
yeah,
like 2 seconds away from his Greaves. Might have actually lived if he had them.
Yeah, I don't think they can do Roshan so easily now. Especially not with both Dendi and DJ Raw being a real pain. Keep an eye on it, and Undershock and Ninja, they're not TPing out. There we go, one on Viper. Bane doesn't have one, so he's gonna have to buy out, probably die.
Well, his team is actually still very nearby, so this could be actually a trap. If Navi try going to top the Darkseer, they could just all die again.
Could be a really nice feature from the high ground play. Life Strike Array doesn't manage to hit. So again, he's working away on style. He's not get back to the third ball because he's going down. No Lich Ulti gonna be in that team fight, and with the wall burn, we see the TP from Bane coming out. He wants to be on the deck to be able to get his hands on that. So suddenly, I think that Navi, I mean, they still want to contest it, but this team fight getting harder and harder for them.
It's funny, we were talking about how like Travels is fine because they're gonna get rushed anyway, he's gonna get the blade fast, but turns out they can't win the fight, they can't get the rush. They might actually lose the rush at this rate. And I do think if he had the diff blade, it might be a different story.
I agree. Maybe not wanting to fight. They're actually knocked outside by this ice shard, but the bird sees all. And we've had Disruptor TP away, goddamn now walking back. He just wanted to make sure they weren't taking damage on their top tier 2. And Navi also backing out, so nobody gets the rush on. And PL.
This happened last game, right? They were like concentrating at each other so much rush, but usually no one would get it. Very, very interesting dynamic between these teams. Like after a certain amount of aggression, both of them just accept, okay, we're not willing to give up anymore for this. We'll just leave.
I think this is unfortunate for HR though, because they had a window there where the wall was down, you know, the Lich was dead for a few seconds, and I feel like that is when their team fight is superior on HR, not having to deal with these things. Now they're right back in the thick of it. They have to get a pick off before they can potentially take Roshan, and Navi is getting closer to that Blink Dagger on the Doxy, which I think could potentially change things around, because if Axmo jumps on their back lines, without the Disruptor, without the Bane, the team fight from HR gets really thin.
And there's an axe coming out from Dandy right now, which is actually really, really big. Juggernaut spinning, not actually safe. Viper's corrosive skin, not actually safe. Like, people can be blown up much more easily than before. Although it looks like Dandy might be the one running the trouble. Oh,
the smoke won't break, and they might not realize they're in the pit, and if they come down, this will be seen, but they have Hawks. Oh, they're actually using the Hawk over here, and now they come all the lineup, because these are all leaving the but now they may need to actually back out. The wall is down, the vacuum doesn't hit anyone either, so that kill is down for the like 36 seconds or whatever that cooldown is, 28 these days. I think maybe both teams want to engage, and we've got 5 minutes towards the vacuum. They have time to he's gonna be on as damage as he can reach. The Seizure Raw is still around, so double ping it to the low ground. And Dendy has that liquidity to Juggernaut, and I think both teams can probably want to back out of this, but maybe not able to catch out on Dendy. They might be able to catch out all style here with the axes on the back swing. They do, so definitely a team fight in favor of Rachel, but both sides losing their hard carry and really heavy big ultimate whipping this time. Natus Vincere goes down. They get the win back on the Axel. A really nice kinetic flip coming out. Around on the other side, we got off the shock. Is he just gonna put the Nightmare there? That's gonna waste all the time coming out from the surge. Not quite all of it actually. And Shocklow is gonna wander away. Oh, okay, I think I'm just fine though. So
this is some great Dota to watch. I mean, it's messy, but it's because there's this kind of like weird, unstable equilibrium where each team keeps trying to like one up Ben.
He might be fine because there's no one. So again, a little bit of an ambitious play. The fire so they catch up with him, and they don't manage to kill off the big time. But there's another static storm big enough for them all coming gone. And Vincere, he's going to wander away. Nice bounty off of the ice shards, but as you said, good Dota, messy Dota, good Dota. I like it, and we're also getting a pleasant game that actually has a lot of kills.
Yeah, and the movements are what I'm talking about is it seems like each time both teams are kind of like they're gonna do this, so we'll do that. But both teams are doing it at the same time, so like they end up like the fight starts in a room, especially around that secret shop there where they sort of smoked past each other, and both teams missed all their main AoE because of the way they approached each other. Unusual, I think, to say the least.
I also wanted to point out, I noticed in the team fight that the courier went down, didn't check it until just now. Axmo had his Blink Dagger on that. Really, I mean, it's a really big pickup, and it's something which could have allowed Navi to play a little bit more aggressively, because as we talked about, blinking on the back lines, but just unable to. And maybe part of why these last few team fights haven't gone in Navi's favor. The network shot is only about 4,000 gold in each odds, and we've all seen what team fight can easily swing it more than that. But this game, it's close. It's pretty exciting. I'm enjoying it.
Vincere still doesn't have his diffusal blade. I don't know if he has some part of it. Did he have anything on the career?
No, he didn't. It was just the Blink Dagger, and I think this is just that he did earn himself a death there, and there hasn't been much farming because there's been a lot of posturing around heroes not hitting creeps.
Yeah, but that, again, I mean, it's always an awkward position against. I don't want to say that I know better than him. I almost certainly don't. But watching from like a bird's eye view, it does feel like he hasn't. I don't know. he bought them maybe once.
He has bounced into some fights and we see in top lane Tusk is gonna go down. They actually commit the the static storm for that, so they immediately ping out Roshan again saying, hey, there's no static storm, maybe we can do this. He's bounced into a couple of these fights,
but most of the fights have been sort of in the same area of the map, and
yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be okay now. He's gonna finish the whole blade, and I think still ultimately the game looking quite good for Navi. I think Lena's gonna be a major threat, and PL's gonna be an even more major threat the later the game goes. And I don't really feel the same about Juggernaut or Viper.
I definitely feel like
so much
Viper,
to do.
he can scale, but this game is Omni Slash. I mean, last team fight is Omni Slash 8, I think like 15 PL illusions, that's about it. No, it's rough. But Roshan still supports the contention on the map. He has had an opportunity to heal all the way back up, looking very healthy. How did what? Oh gosh, Underdog has a tank hit. You know, this happens sometimes. They're in a lot of trouble. Will he be able to stop? No, they managed to make it back. They still need to actually damage him down. He has a lot of armor right now, so 20% off. With the walk takes the link. That was good. Now, Diffusal Blade. It's online.
Wow, BKB ban, but I mean maybe a bit too excited about the fact that he has a BKB because sure he caught out Dandy, but the backup to actually do the damage to kill Dandy wasn't there, and Fiend's Group's not going to do the trick on its own.
And this again, another thing that might just open up potentially Roshan. We've got everybody and their mother checking this Roshan fit constantly, but this allows Vincere, just because of where the wave was pushed up to, he can farm a little bit. And while it's Necronomicon level 3, just picked up on the Beast Monster, I'm not sure that it's enough to deal with all of this, especially when an illusion might kill it, and then you don't even get that lost will damage, I think it's called.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think it is a bit strange that again, for the second game in a row, we see Alpha Ninja, Viper just knock over the mech at all. I mean, I alluded to earlier that there's arguments against it, like, it's not as good as it used to be, the cooldown's very long. But I do feel like when you're having all these sort of 5v5 situations, your team doesn't have a mech, the other team has entire Guardian Greaves. I think that's a really big deal. I think it was, I'm not sure who, I think it might have been S4. But some really good Viper players said a couple of months ago that it's like you can't play Viper without mech, it's just like a part of the main reason you pick the hero. And certainly Miracle has been like the Viper to watch recently, has been rashing it, sometimes even before boots. So I'm kind of on the lookout for these fights, like where a mech would have made a big difference.
Radiant's top tower
I
is
also
under
want to
attack.
point out, we were talking about how rich the Bane is. This Disruptor has an Aghanim Scepter.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is the right word, right? These supports are so
Dire's
big.
bottom
And
tower
it's
is
huge.
under
Aghanim
attack.
Scepter on the Disruptor. The Phantom Lance is going to be in a lot of trouble. Dendy's in a lot of trouble. He can't duels and burn the duration. You can't... Darkseer doesn't have an opportunity to heal people up if he's caught. I'm not sure they'll be able to get it. Speaking of Dendy, those they have to get out, and another BKB, a long one, used by Undershock.
You know, I'm so happy I didn't say anything, because I was about to say we should change the emphasis to this Disruptor, Aghanim Scepter, because he's been so good with his ulti in the field, but the last two they just haven't been that good. And if he was getting the ones that he got so early in the game with an Aghanims, it would be like fight over as soon as that happens, but last two Static Storm Kinetic Field combos just not hitting the squad at all.
So we're gonna be seeing Vincere getting his farm on. He had 3k gold a little while ago. No. Also, the Juggernaut has a lot of money. Oh, he might be in a lot of trouble as well. He looks like around. Oh, we can see the back. He's back on quite enough. You'll worry. If he has enough time to heal back up on the side of his team fight, maybe they can re-engage. No ults were used, and the Static Storm only on cooldown for 21 more seconds, but this is what we were talking about, and I wouldn't be surprised if Juggernaut just buys a full Scotty. I don't know what he bought. It's on the courier. No, he's going for a Battle Fury!
Yeah.
I mean, wait, Illusion Clear.
Yeah, it's Illusion Clear, it's also going back to the farm. It's like, I think recognizing that the way this game's going, because the fights are not dictating the game, it's gonna be maybe, it could be a bit more drawn out. So I think it's the right choice. Like partly for secure illusion, but also just he needs to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I really agree with...
Do they just get rogue?
Yeah, I think they just get rogue. I mean, there were too many fights going on around. I don't think anybody wants to fight all that, etc. Also, it's really rough here. I think for the Juggernaut, you need so many things. How do you deal with the PL effectively? Cleave is one way, you're going to at least get rid of those illusions, but you're suddenly going to have no mana, and you just really need to make sure. I mean, Scotty tanks up, gives you some damage, maybe not as much damage. I'm trying to think of a different option that you could really go. I mean, I think a long time ago, maybe Jugs went for Abyssal or something, the Basher build, but
Yeah,
it doesn't feel great here.
They still get Abyssals. I mean, it could be his next item. You're right, it doesn't really feel like the item to me. But it's mostly like he's right at the top of the field and it.
A back roll balloon is like a big burn.
Yeah, that's what they get by the ages. And all of a sudden Juggernaut's like, hey man, why couldn't I have the ages?
Yeah, it's really rough here. I mean, looking hard for 8 targets. You mentioned now he's getting the Yules up the result. He is bouncing as a face grip onto the Nako. But he's still actually sure. Oh yeah, he managed to go down finally. Goddamn, okay, for his score, but I don't think Understock and Atom is able to go to deal with this PL. He is just taking over this game, and Understock is just trying to give him the nightmare and wander away.
He should die again.
I mean, can Understock maybe even drop the wall on that maybe? Very unfortunate. He's gonna go down.
So what happened to Danny in that fight was pretty incredible. I was watching the snowball plus the self-fuels immediately after. And there's no time to check out. He still managed to die, unfortunately, because he turned to cover the spell, but that's actually a really nice combo they have in their strategy.
Even just the snowball should do it.
That could be enough. Yeah, yeah. Then that requires him to kind of sit on it for quite a while.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's max snowball launch time does make it so that you can get the blink off, but obviously snowball plus Yules. Yules is just shy of blink dagger damage time since you can blink.
So that's a guarantee.
And Dendy's going for assuming a BKB. I mean, as long as he's not on the static storm, I think this is gold.
Yeah, there's a lot of annoying stuff happening. So why not? I mean, I don't think there's another club item he could be buying.
Never know. Casual? No, it's not. There's no, I think, reason to get a Heaven's Halberd against the lineup on HR.
It could be a very obscure start to Silver Edge. I mean, Lena sometimes likes to get Shadow Blade, but I don't think so. Not at this stage of the game. Not against the Necro 3.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's any reason to do it for that. Now, we're going to be seeing Goddamn he is wandering around in that smoke. For HR, it feels like their game plan is so hard to execute now. They're behind. They've also, I mean, kind of not mentioned it, but what's to happen in Laguna Blade, he does pop that ult, and he's way to win. Able to shuffle out of this. Oh god, shuffle. Not quite as much. He can rock him back and get the tunnel. I think he's on the other side. I don't know if he caught how the lane will react, but I did not. It looks like Fiend's Grip was expended. Just as I was saying, I think that HR have a really hard time to execute. They get 2 huge kills.
Yeah, that's, I think, Navi being a little bit cocky, to be honest. Like, thinking, really, Navi will be one of the Viper, I mean, everyone wants to Viper is never the case. They stopped, I think they said they were going to play them.
No, she just didn't have mana. She used too many spells, I guess, just the Yules plus their other toolkit. She was already on board, she didn't have much mana. And they get the spells and he's back now. He's trying to back to go. Finally, Waller Warrior, my back to get out of one of these fights. Understock pop that TKB in his face. Into the Necro. Look at the fight against the Navi. Navi is okay eventually, but if they also catch on Axe mode, this is devastating. I think they rightly realized though in HR that overextending is going to really punish them. Not able to get anything off on Goddamn to stop that TP. Okay. I feel like as you said, maybe just those confidence, because I really thought Navi was in a great position with all the spells they have up to take a team fight.
Yeah, but yes, the way they're gonna win a team fight is not to like ever uncast your spells on Viper at the start of the fight. It's like the dream fight for HR. It's why HR wanted that game plan of like let's group up and push, stand behind Viper, force them to target Viper. Navi did them a favor there. I think that Navi's vision can show that the Viper had teammates with them. So they thought, okay, this is fine. It's just a Viper on his own. We'll just make a free kill.
Also,
I'll take that as tribute.
as you talk, because Viper takes so long to kill. I think his teammates were down there.
Radiant's
and
bottom
I
tower
mean, it
is
took so long
under
to kill the
attack.
Viper, especially since Dendi opened with the Yules. 5 seconds, your team's gonna get there.
Yeah, it's just I just think it's the exact wrong way for the fight to start for them. And then Ditera got identified, the real one, very quickly. He got glimpsed back. He went down, and after that, I mean, the way that they want to win fights is actually by Ditera coming in a bit late, I think. And just like that's usually where PL goes up. When the fight starts in the PL and you're already trying to deal with other things, illusions, and you don't know what to do. But if you can focus on the Phantom Lancer because the Lena's already running away at the start of the fights, I mean, you're good.
We've also got a Blink Dagger up on Disruptor, so, you know, just in case you need more help landing Kinetic Field or maybe getting off a good glimpse, Disruptor's got the positioning tools for that. And Undershock also has an Aghanim Scepter. I was kind of wondering if that's what the BKB was leading up into. This means you cannot stop the Bane... Oh, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. You cannot stop the Bane from Fiends ripping, except I believe Walrus Punch actually would, but then Nightmare the Tusk, or am I crazy? Like, does that...
I
work?
don't actually know. I mean, this is like such a rare hero to see Aghanim Scepter on that, like, I've never seen interaction. Like, does he get Nightmare before the hit actually happens, or once he gets hit?
He might get Nightmare before the hit, I'm not sure. Folks, tweet it at us, you can see.
It
Get us
actually
this
says
game
on
knowledge.
the tooltip that if an enemy tries to attack Bane, that's why I think it might actually Nightmare him before.
Then he's literally unstoppable.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's pretty cool. You can just pick a target and then say, hey guys, I'm holding this target for what's the increase? Yeah, 7 seconds, and if his team can't kill that person in 7 seconds, well, you know, Bane's done his job.
Yeah, so really well done there, picking that up. Kind of interesting item builds we're much more used to, I feel like, on the Bane, seeing the Glimmer Cape, maybe a 4-star, smaller items, but this Bane is fat. He's a happy cat. He's only 2k gold behind Dendi.
But also,
really
by the way,
surprising.
so the other interesting thing about Bane Aghanims, I mean, it's again, I don't know, it's really unusual build. You don't see it very often, but it increases the mana drain, which is not usually spoken about on the skill. But if it's a 7 seconds, 10% mana drain, that's actually, if you do that to someone at the start of the fight, most of them is gone, even if they didn't die. So it's going to be very significant. Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, he can't look at the
he
blade.
can't.
Okay, so yeah, this is huge. The Mana Drain, of course, I don't believe... Does the Mana Drain happen if you're BKB'd?
No, it won't.
Yeah, so if Dendi can get the BKB that he doesn't have yet, so I'm speaking hypotheticals, if he can get the BKB up first, he'll be okay to Laguna Blade, but if they haven't killed him in that time...
I mean, ultimately this is all like a side discussion, right? Because you expect that if someone's being grouped for 7 seconds, they're dying. I mean, it's interesting. But very crafty stuff that he's doing.
Very exciting, and YOLO Warrior, he's going for the Basher, maybe eventually an Abyssal Blade. It's a bit rough here, just because you gotta find the right PL, but he can also use it again on Dendi. Okay, we're trying to backfill that divorce. Very close up there, he finally gets it, but they're also on the bottom, and they get them around the same time, so they're now trying to siege up high ground, and they don't have any sort of thing. How long? Okay, Aegis is actually slightly they might just put some pressure on this tier 3 and then back to Roshan.
It's all about the Darkseer here. Darkseer can make or break this fight, I think. If there is a 5v5 fight, I don't think there's any other hero on the side of Navi that can win this fight, but Darkseer is very definitely can.
Yeah, he's also picked up a Ghost Scepter, and I have to say I really like this. Obviously, Omni slash all physical damage, as is most of what Viper is going to be throwing at you that actually damages you is his auto attacks, so you can deal with those somewhat reliably. Stuff like, I guess you might get killed by the bull at that stage in the game. But Beastmaster, he's gone for a flag. I feel like we see sometimes Shivas coming out of Beastmasters. Do you think that's a decent pickup here a bit later? I mean, he's also very formed. Kind of surprised.
Sure, yeah, if he gets enough gold, Shivas could be nice, but Vlad's definitely very good value at this stage in the game. It's something his team wants to have. And he's probably he was the best position to buy it because Pain Elemental wants to buy an Aghanim Scepter.
I'm still confused as to how this exactly happened.
I actually just want to see Bane ulti someone and like all 4 other heroes just go and attack Bane just to see the mass nightmare. I just think it'll be beautiful.
He's also got, I mean, okay, this is how it happened. This Bane is 8, 3, and 10. I mean, he's kind of snuck up on it. Undershockers have also been doing a really good job of not dying. which I'm really impressed by. There's been a number of team fights where his team has lost them, he just walks away, and I think that's actually the hallmark of a great player. Sometimes you have to abandon your teammates, and Aftershock, he's got an invis, might just be able to initiate, he goes for it, there's that trying to save the gem. Yeah, he was trying to. I think it's Navi's gem. I want to say. No. Oh no.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
He has to place. Yeah, no, he knows it's there. That's why he placed a ward. I think he was hoping that the wards won't combine because I think one is from a different quality. So, and this is Goddamn's gem. I didn't realize that Goddamn had purchased one up. This is losing Rubicon. Maybe
so
even a rat.
Started the fight. He's the one that leads the fight. I didn't get to see, you know, what stopped Viper and Juggernaut killing the Beans. I think channels time 7 seconds on Darkseid.
I think there were just mass PL illusions over here, and they were a little bit distracted by them. Right. I feel like Chain Frost is now the only thing in this game that can stop because I feel like the mini stun does disadvantage immunity. I think.
Yeah, so that's definitely so that's probably, maybe it wasn't the full 7 seconds, maybe it was just like 3 or 4 seconds. That would explain a lot because it didn't feel like 7 seconds to me, but I didn't notice something cancel it. But the Chain Frost is misleading that way because it cancels it not on impact, but like as you cast.
Yeah.
So you could be looking at Bane and be like, hey, why does ulti stuff?
Feature on out, very happy campy. He's got Scotty, Diffusal, Aegis, all great things, and this tier 2 is falling for Navi and maybe even more. It's still an even game, but I feel like a PL is easier to take over the game than a Juggernaut.
It's really interesting how Dandy basically ended up taking never been as Echo's been put on.
They are very liberal. They need my telescope, so they're just gonna glimpse him. He throws up the ult and he Yolo's back. And he's managing to get away before he eyes on him. They throw up. Oh, he takes the charge. That'll be death. So, unfortunately, getting that, and now he's going to get out of that. Did he?
There's an attempt to like get a trade on the Rax's top lane, and it might actually work.
They just got melee racks as well, so the range might even come down to the next one, and they beat me out. I think that's worth it, even though they lost, I'm pretty sure, another gem, but I have to check that.
That's it. I think that's
yeah, Viper should be able to take me out, and actually that was of course the gem from Echo, but then Echo had picked it up, yeah, so it wasn't another gem. I was really confused because I was, your gem's only on for 5 minutes, there's no way you could afford another one.
Yeah, that's how Jack and Disruptor got caught in the first place. They were picking up an Echo, and then it was the response to them, but then very, very intelligent from Beastmaster and Bane to recognize, well, if everyone's TP to react there, we can just get a quick set of axes, and like with all the action in this game, it's really kind of amusing that Rax finally goes on. It's not with any action, just like split push.
Yeah, at the same time, if Shocklow is picked off here, they really need all of their heroes. They have to get this high ground defense, because I think HR is in a really good spot if they can keep their own sets of Raxes up, because as we talked about, maybe there's a pick off over here, and next time it's this Rax, because with Inner Beast, the passive from the Necronomicon units, I don't actually know what that passive is called. You're hitting really fast, but as we talk about hitting fast, Ikirahi is working on their tower, not the fastest takedown, but he will get it. And they're turning out a little bit, but they've got a world of creep. They have to do something here, I feel, for HR. The push coming in from top isn't going to be fast enough with this one here.
But HR, like, enough to kill PL, but when he takes on an Aegis, we end up losing a fight to lose the game.
Gonna be pulled back, they finally pop PKDs. I think it's time to turn around and use that Fiend's Grip. There's too many units attacking.
even killed Beastmaster for a second time. That's a dieback for him, but there's just no one with mana or health to capitalize. So it's really interesting because in all the recent fights, it does feel like Navi have the upper hand, but it seems as if HR might be able to take this game just with the rats. They not even need to win any fights anymore. It's a very close thing. Obviously, if Navi wipe HR, it's not going to matter that they've lost 2 sides. They can just go straight for the throw-in. But I don't know. They've forced what 1-2 buybacks so far. So yeah, I guess the next fight will only really be Juggernauts flying back. So if Navi get a big fight, they could be okay.
Both Juggernaut and Disruptor have buyback, and I would almost say here, he already used the Boris Punch, and then after BKB there's nothing to stop.
That's a big mistake by Seneko. I think that's definitely a kill if he saves this.
I agree, and that's also going to be painful emotionally, opening with the Boris Punch and then realizing that they have a way out. So many people in this game have bots. We see YOLO Warrior going down bottom. Holy, I'm impressed and disgusted by the backplay. Now, I actually really enjoy when teams do this type of thing. I think something I love about Dota is the fact that you can win team fights and still lose the game. Like, it's a very flexible game. The objective is always just get your opponent's Ancient down.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to win Dota 2 games.
So, I really like this. Now, I do think they're in a precarious position, as you mentioned, for HL. They only have buybacks on Juggernaut and on Disruptor, albeit Navi don't have a lot of buybacks either, but I feel like they're not in the position that they need them because these team fights have really not been going HL's way.
It looks like HR are just 5 on the way on the career.
They could just do to Necronomicon creeps. I think that is enough to get at least the range racks down, of course having less armor and less health.
This is tense. This is really, really tense actually, because Navi have the tools to take a big fight and then just like march down a lane and push. But HR definitely has the tools to finish up the Raxes, and Mega Creeps or something else. I don't know if Navi went through that.
And Monta, while certainly a hero that can output a lot of damage, I agree with you. I feel like he's not a great wave clearer. And Navi have headed over to mid. We have a TP coming back out from the Viper. Ninja may just be giving up his life, pushing in, and Navi are onto them. Navi's like, we have your number. Choclo needs to get all the way out of there. I think that they're going to TP out. He actually throws up the Hawk. It's probably going to see these rotations. They're even using the Shiva's Provision as well on Axmo. I would be so scared. Your heart is beating right up here, right? You're terrified. They're going to find you, and they're going to kill you, and you don't have buyback.
The Shivas that revealed them, they ought to both be dead.
Yeah. And Disruptor does actually have buyback. But, of course, Beastmaster used his recently. They ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. They get out.
The abuse of TPs this game by HR, like the number of times they've TP'd off, there's nothing that can stop their TP. I mean, the Viper one wasn't even the first one, and now it's just happened again. Yeah. Navi's got to be really frustrated when they're just, you know, that just making big kills so many times, and it's actually a TP that stops you making kills.
It's also something where I feel like HR, just because they have the Hawk, while Navi we're seeing bots level 2 coming out on a number of people, they have always on HR got the easier rat play, because they can Hawk in, or one of those creeps and just bots to it, whereas Navi, yeah, they can do the same thing. You can always pick up a Helm of the Dominator, smoke a creep, get it in your opponent's face. It's just so much harder when you don't have an inbuilt one, right? So, yeah. You know, not a unit like a Hawk that turns invisible half the time.
So HR are pretty split. Navi were to actually just charge forward at some point, they could probably make some kills. I mean, people have been TPing out, but there's a here. And I think if Guardian, Lina, and Kill all together, the target against Hex is definitely going to die.
Now let's actually do a quick look around at items, because I feel like a lot of game has happened. The game has slowed down. We've got bots on Lich and a Vlad. That's what this Lich is rocking. Seneko has a Blink Dagger and a Solar Crest. Endy, they're looking again. They're searching. They're not going to quite find Undershock, but they might have his number. Axmo manages to get the vacuum. He immediately pops the beat. If he have a way to TP out, he would. But there's no way to actually use it. Taken out, but guess who's knocking on their front door? He's got the 1/4 of its life.
It must feel really good to not be killing a hero who tries to TP out before they TP out.
Yeah. We were doing item roundup quickly. Dendi, I'm actually surprised Dendi hasn't gone through because you mentioned, oh god, he's going to use the rack to be illusions. I don't think they get the food. Okay, it's now down to 2 though. I mean, what has this game become?
I don't know. This is
some Dota, eh? Glad we got through on this one. This is, by the way, this is the first time Dan and I have actually called it together. I think it's going absurdly smooth considering it's the first time. I have only been interrupting you a lot, not make sure to blink forward, there are bots coming in. There's gonna be a blink away from the goddamn, but if they can catch it, all they have to do is just forsaken his life. He does have buyback, and we have a lot of other heroes coming back up. That's a second gem.
Dendi and Ditcher are both. None of these heroes can come back to run. Oh, okay, nobody's still back right now.
Yeah, but that just buys them so much time. You mentioned it's nobody's looking for the back door, but while you definitely got the gem out of the disruptor, it's almost a kill for nothing because you didn't force his buyback. You didn't make him, you know, nobody else had to buy back, nobody had to TP back and defend. They can still keep pressuring up top with the Juggernaut, who's just getting more and more farm, by the way. He's perfectly content to farm your entire jungle and then top lane.
We haven't even seen Juggernaut make a pick-off yet with his Blink Abyssal, have we? Or did he just use that on himself?
I thought he used it on Boots or whatever, but still changed to the alt style earlier, but it feels like the cooldown is a bit, although alt style's only level 16, so maybe that had some.
So that's something we should forget about. I mean, HR are currently playing a style where we don't expect him to make pick-offs, but he can. There's a lot of heroes Juggernaut can solo kill if he finds them alone and flinks them in. I always feel like Kill wants one of his own. I mean, he's finishing finishing a second butterfly, that's his plan, yeah.
Okay, so that's, I believe it checks one for evasion and then the other.
Yeah, so they
but you can flutter
finishing.
with one and not lose the evasion, right? Because you're not fluttering with the other one, or do they both get activated?
No, I think they'll both be deactivated, I'm pretty sure they will.
Because I know...
But it's for the agility of the evasion.
They're catching the Monster and Shocklow, no way out. Slowly but surely, Navi are getting the picks that they need. I am actually a little bit surprised the picks come out. I would think a ward up there would be something they'd go for, but now we have bots level 2 on Juggernaut. He's consumed a Moonshard. The rat is about to become real. And they're chasing Undershock across the map. Maybe Dendi gets this, but again, they've been drawn away. We can see that there is casually Illusion pushing up the wave. Roshan being taken by Navi.
There was a stage in this game where, before they started going big battle phase, where HR had 10,000 and it swung back and it's now 5,000. I wonder, like, I mean, it's part of this one. But I feel like they're gonna kick themselves if Navi turn this game around now and I don't know, maybe it's just because they what was the other approach HR could take? Did they end up kind of 5 heroes ran down, force those last Raxes? I'm not sure. The approach they've been taking, Navi's been clawing their way back up. Now they've got
the Laguna Blade comes out on Alpha Ninja though, and he needs some help. Goddamn is there. Dendi's BKB is wearing out. He does have Blink in 1 second, so he should be fine. Juggernaut manages to pick up the base, and now I don't know where he's but now he's gonna run right into Doxy. He blinks all the way over him, and they have got another tower or another rack down. The tower is falling quickly because Navi, they're completely out of base items to go for, and it looks like they're losing their tier 4s. The next one is Maria comes away. That even no problem.
And there's a lot of buybacks still up, so we're not even close to the position where we say, okay, Navi win a fight. There's a lot of heroes that have buybacks in this game.
4 on the lineup of HR, and Beastmaster is only 300 gold away from his, and Navi, all of their lanes are pushed in, so I don't think, I mean, maybe they force a buyback on the Bane if they're very lucky, but...
So, this is what I wanted to say, before PL went for a second butterfly, he's now got a bash, I think he's needed that for the longest time, actually longer than the Juggernaut. He really needs that Abyssal Blade, because people keep TPing out in front of him, and also just like, in terms of chasing capabilities, if the enemy team's trying to kill your rack, you're like pounding at them, like it's really nice to be able to bash them or whistle them. I think that if he finishes that item, that may be like the item that makes a game-changing difference here, but I'm not sure, it could just be too late.
Yeah. It is something where I do actually think they have to, if Navi can win 2 team fights, as you mentioned, because they have to contend with buybacks, they can just barrel down mid lane, bypass, since they already have the tier 3s, they can bypass that and go for tier 4s, especially if they win 2 team fights. What is this monstrosity of an effigy? I'm not even sure. Is that an Abaddon? I think that's an Abaddon, like, on its side. But if they can win 2 team fights and barrel down the mid lane, I do believe they can get the racks, the tier 4s, and win the game. There should be enough time with how long buybacks timers are, especially when you include buybacks. But getting to that stage is rough, and look at these hero levels. Finally, everybody has level 3 in their ultimates. I mean, goodness gracious.
Like, how many heroes in this game have boots of travel level 2?
How many heroes in this game have Ags? Like, how many heroes that are supports that really shouldn't have Ags? When was the last time Beastmaster bought a new item? That's what I want to know. What is his next rat item?
I don't know. I guess he just wants to save buyback if at all possible.
Yeah.
Because he's not getting that much gold. But Lich, wow, look at Artstyles network compared to every other player in the game. It's like, they're fast. I
feel like, oh, DJ Raw, maybe gonna be trying to Village Tribe Warrior. Oh, they get the stun on him.
He has to buy back.
Oh, near their base. He also had 600 base himself. I was actually really confused. He's been rocking phase boost and not buying out. Maybe now he'll wish he could, because what can he buy from base? I mean, maybe he could have gone for a Desolator to try and work on this monster, but DJ Raw, he's gonna be going. They haven't used the buyout yet.
Why is he waiting?
Push out the lane. I think he's waiting because he wants them to push out the lane and maybe get some more back. Nothing is pushed out at all yet, and they have just evened up racks in one lane, and they're going for more. Finally, the Juggernaut buys back. They lose a full set of racks. He's got nothing away all of that. He does have Aegis as well, and oh, he melts through them.
If Navi kills Juggernaut, they win. Even if they concede Megas, I think. If Juggernaut dies, I'll buy back.
No, you say this, but Juggernaut dies. There's gonna be flanks around. The base is flying back in the bottom lane now. Juggernaut also blunk away, left of Beastmaster to death, and they've got Megas. They do have supers in one lane, but Navi's life just got so hard.
Yeah,
and Beastmaster fights back. We find an Axlo is overextended. He does have high Axlo. He's fine. Axlo is overextended to go down. We need to go Axlo. Axlo's gonna still help them. He's 43, 20% health. Axlo's gonna be able to go down. They are TPing. But there are creeps in the base. Neko's gone though.
Yeah, team is winning against Megas is extremely, extremely rare. It doesn't happen a lot. I think it's possible here. I don't think the Megas alone win. So if Navi kill important heroes and they don't have buyback, could do it.
Oh yeah, it is. Dandy says get ready to go, but I think goddamn it's already on the deck. We need to look over at buyback status. Viper has the buyback. Nobody else. And while this is Megas, Juggernaut, he's trying to get that push in top. I think he'll just pop Manta and run away. He may be caught out of position here. Also doesn't have buyback. So Navi, I think, as you said, this could be one of the few games we get to see a team do well against Megas. And even if they don't, they still have another game to try it. Lich, all he can the creep way.
Yeah, he's got nothing else to do with mega creeps. I mean, he barely deals with them even with his chain for us. I mean, the intelligent thing right now for HR is to actually just like slow down. They've been throwing themselves at Navi over and over and over. Navi's gotten a huge gold advantage from being, I mean, Navi were 10k behind in gold and I think not as much but in XP, and now they're like 15k ahead in both.
Do you see where Shako? Oh no, Seneko! Wait, did I just see that right? Did Shako just smoke? And then have it immediately broken by Seneko? I saw something weird on the screen. This is the strangest backdoor I've ever seen. I don't think he has enough damage to take down that Ancient. That's 4.2k health. No way.
Is he setting up for all his teammates to TP on?
Oh, the courier! Okay, so it's nighttime. The courier won't see him. That's why I think he wants dust. Yeah, surely.
His plan is to blink in and summon, and all his teammates TP onto him and their summons, and then they all backdoor together.
Yeah, and you can see the Super Traveler on cooldown for 8 more seconds. I almost clicked that. That would have been disastrous, but there's so many people in the base. And Navi actually has their own set of Necronomicons because it's that time of the year where the Darkseer already has his own Necro. They can't do this, and this is actually why it's fantastic that the Beast Monster is here. He's trying to make sure he sees all of the people being up here, but he just can't. They're losing Moonlord and bottom though. Navi, they're having a lot of trouble dealing with it, and it doesn't feel like until they drop all of these creeps out that they can push in. And thank goodness you don't get abandons for being AFK for 5 minutes in these games.
It's very, very difficult for Navi right now, and HR really impressed me by, it looked like they were maybe, you know, bashing their head against the door too many times, and as soon as they get the megas, they know they don't need to anymore, and they just slow down, because if they had kept running straight at Navi, that's the best chance they have of losing the game.
Okay, Oddstyle has just blown the ult. 4 members of Navi are coming back, and also I wanted to point out that Oddstyle has picked up a 62-minute bracer.
62-minute racer. That's
You
gonna
gotta
save
do what
for
you
mega
gotta
creeps.
do, right? It's extra tank. This is... Okay, was Lena checking for something, or was Dendi just casually getting more fiery souls up?
Yeah,
Oh, they
fiery
know
soul-
that he's there! Oh my goodness, Shocklow, he's gonna manage to make it out. How did... I know Lena stopped over there, but how did they know? Because I don't see ice shards or anything.
I have no idea.
Damage.
But I love that Oddstyle Observer ward in the corner there.
I mean, they need it. They do need it, I agree. Okay, how does this game end? Let's...
It ends in 2.5 minutes when the Radiant heroes all have buybacks again, and then they just go and
You
they
really
probably
think they can,
should be able to.
you really think they can take down the Ancient? Oh, goodness.
I think they could probably, the better play is probably to try and draw Navi to commit to fight at one side of the map, and then... Wait, are you seeing what I'm seeing? If you look
What?
at the Darkseer, you see like... got like Hellfire falling around?
Yeah. Welcome to, we're 64 minutes into the game with a game involving a lot of particle effects.
This happens sometimes, but it doesn't usually happen this way. It usually takes like 2 hours.
I mean, oh goodness, we've got a little blade and I can hear it on the Viper. He was one of the few with buyback. It's happening this early because we've got a Dawn here, and I believe PL might also be helping to bug it out, and potentially the Hawk summons, because Valve does these assets really interestingly. Do we have like casual backdoor Necronomicons? Yeah, we do. They even put the armor on the Ancient. Oh, and Beastmaster just gets the TP off. I don't know what this means. I'm assuming they're talking about Pringles.
I think they're
That's what
talking
I
about the Darkseer.
Oh.
Because he's the first one who said he like put a face. I think they're talking about what it's like he's got like a fire following him.
Oh, he even shows up with the other team. That is exciting. But yeah, I think he's got like the entire Dire Ancient following him. Good stuff. This is what I like to see in my
Sauron's eye is watching him.
Yeah. So Juggernaut has gone back and purchased a 10-second BKB. While this is going to, sorry, no, like he never had this. Not pulling a win here. We're going to be seeing a team fight though. We're going to be global on that BKB. What is the plan? These monsters just don't even understand what it's going on. That was ridiculous, and their team being back in. The BKB Aghanim Scepter doing what? They're all messed it up. Guys, Shuffle is gonna be down for a while. Oh, they catch him. They've still got Megas to contend with.
Yeah, this is the. I mean, you have
This
3
is
enemies
beautiful.
dead. None of them have buyback. But there's mega creeps, so I don't know. Like, if there weren't mega creeps, this I think Navi just win right now. Feels just
Oh,
that
of
one
course.
racks up, but
And unfortunately for them, the buybacks are coming off of cooldown
do you see
as we speak.
Darkseer? Now he's got like light from heaven and bats following him around.
Yeah, the bats are like an old Halloween asset or something. Good times. It's just dog
What's that?
fishing.
The light from the sky.
Yeah, that's actually the Ancient. So look into the Dire Ancient. Like, when it explodes, that's what Darkseer has above him, I'm pretty sure.
I see. That's
Yeah, and then the Halloween bats are Dire Tide asset, I want to say. And then also sometimes he gets Jakiro fire following him. Macro Pyre will be on the ground when he walks, which is, you know,
and
cute.
what's that like icy effect that follows him around?
The icy effect? I'm not quite sure. I am not what icy effect. That might be so. No, goodness, he's running in. He's thinking about going. He's not off now. Someone is keeping him off now. And Robo Strike knows the ass. Robo streaks. I don't know the percentages on that one. I feel like it's very few, to say the least.
It's low, it's less than 10% for sure. It's
Yeah.
wow. Aximo is probably the MVP for me of the